but we know pretty well now that the attacks came from there, and they have tremendous sophisticated capability.
Sophisticated? Well, I'm not so sure, because in the emails that were leaked were the very ones that show how all this probably happened. Joining me to talk us through them was leading technology commentator Trevor Long, whom I spoke to earlier today. Trevor, thanks for joining me. Let me go through those emails with you so you can explain what really happened, and warning signs perhaps for viewers at home. Now first, it goes like this. On March the 19th, John Podesta gets this email from noreply@accounts.googlemail.com telling him his password on his Gmail account has been compromised by someone in Ukraine. It tells him to change his password on a link that it gives him, a bit.ly link, whatever that is. Now first, Trevor, if you got an email like that at your office, would you click that link and change your passwords?
No, I would not. There's a couple of really big giveaway signs there. First is that reply email. Googlemail.com doesn't seem to me like the legitimate address of Google. It would come from google.com, but that can be faked by a scammer. But then the link, they would never include a link that wasn't directly obvious to a Google address. Now, a bit.ly address is all about shortening so that it uses less characters on Twitter. But Google would never do that in an email. Now, if you get an email like that, the first thing to do is actually just sign into your own Google account on a web browser. You never, ever click a link in an email, especially when it's asking you to change a password. So, you know, some pretty fundamental flaws in that composed email.
Well, as it happens, John Podesta did smell a rat, or at least he got a little concerned. He referred it to his IT experts and they agreed with you. They warned Podesta in another email, this one that will show, that yes, indeed, he had to change his password ASAP, and they gave him a Google link to do it, which is fully, explained and clearly the right one. But they made a mistake in those first 5 words, didn't they? Where they called the dodgy email, that first phishing email, legitimate.
That's right.
Now talk us through this particular one.
So you're right. The problem here is that they've suggested it's legitimate, which it is not. But it's a very good advice from an IT department actually to advise someone to change their password, even if it smells a bit fishy. But what they did was legitimise the original email. And so imagine you're him and you've just received that maybe on your iPhone, and you've gone, oh, it's legit. The first thing you're going to do is not read the rest of their email. You're going to go back and you're going to follow the instructions in that first email. So even though they did include the correct address to update your account password, it didn't mean anything to John because he just went back to what he now knew was a legitimate email, which in fact was not.
And that's funny. He's a very time-poor guy. He's got thousands of emails now, which the whole world can read. So I suspect he did exactly what you said and reset his passwords by clicking on that link on the dodgy email. What would have happened then?
So it would have taken him, and this is the ultimate in what we call phishing with a PH. And people would have seen this with Australian Federal Police, Australia Post. There's a bunch of scams going around. You get an email, it looks legit. You click the link and you're taken to a website that also looks legitimate. So the website would have looked like the Google website. It would have had a box that said, what's your existing password and what's your new password? And by putting in his existing password, thinking that he was updating his account, he literally handed over the keys to his email inbox.
Well, it's interesting that the emails that we have seen leaked sort of end around not long after exactly that moment, which I suspect means he realised then it had been compromised. Now, is this actually, as Podesta claims, a sophisticated attempt to hack his computer?
This is actually probably the least sophisticated form of hacking at all. Sophisticated hacking involves getting a device onto someone's computer to try and sniff out someone's passwords, to obtain information from third parties to try and crack into someone's account. The least sophisticated is basically to ask someone for their password, which is what they did here. They probably, whoever it was, laughed when he filled in that form and they went, hang on a minute, And that's why the emails ended. They probably logged in, downloaded his entire email database there and then, and never went back, to never leave a single trace other than the one instance they logged in. And once they've got in, once they've downloaded his mail, it's done. They've got the archive.